All right, guys, just 30 minutes away here from Palantir and Sarepta, both reporting quarterly earnings here in Q3 earnings season. Is 𝐷𝗐𝐬 coming out too? 𝐷𝗐𝐬 as well? I think Palantir will be beat pretty hard here, but we're just gonna have to see. Palantir has a lot of big clients. I think Sarepta both will go pretty well, but you know, you just never know with earnings season. I'm not sitting there trying to predict quarters. That's somebody else's job. I think they'll have good numbers. I don't know what the stock will do. Let's see, if they do 1,200, I think that would be good enough for the stock to go up. They guided to the top end is 1087. If they can kiss 1,200 or more, I think stock can go up. Also depends on what they guide for next quarter. Streets at 1180. Street's gone up a lot. So they'd have to guide to 1,300 or more there. And then they would have to boost guidance, obviously, for this year to more than 4 billion. But, you know, we'll see. Yeah, the bar is really low for Sarepta, needless to say. Yeah, I wouldn't say I burned anyone, Nasdaq Poppy. When I recommend a stock, I am completely free to sell it, do whatever I want. You know, and the stock went up like crazy. I didn't tell you to stay in. Did I tell you to stay in? You mad? You baggy? Aw, poor Peggy. Little Peggy. Oh, yeah, you cry more than my son. Well, Quantum's just dropping, you know, just giving back last week's gains. So, of course, Newegg is short. Don't hold the bag too long. You might start crying too. I had so much money. What happened? The stock went down. Oh no. I thought you knew it was going to happen every tick of the way. Okay, Quantum coming back down. I love it. Koreans are out of money, dude. They lost it all on Beyond and Open. They can't gamble anymore. No, I didn't listen to Rogan. I don't really listen to Rogan. I went on Rogan and I promoted the Cybertruck. It's a good truck, you know. I'm not a Palantir investor. I do trade it a lot, usually to the long side. Okay, here we go. Get ready. Who will be first? Sarepta came out with a 8K last time, so I want to see if maybe that comes first. All quiet on the Western Front. One, it's out. Sarepta's out. 399 beats significantly. Sarepta's going to be up a bunch here. See if I can sweep some. 𝐷𝗐𝐬 is out. Palantir is out. Almost 1.2. That's pretty good. I would not chase Palantir up here though. That's not that good. I think that's around what you would expect. Let's see what the guidance looks like. 1.3. Wow, monster guidance. Oh man, sick guidance. That's yeah, that's something. So you get 700, 2.4. Wow. Yeah, I think Palantir is going to go up. Sarepta's good. 𝐷𝗐𝐬's, haven't seen it yet. Guidance 605 to 625. Ooh, guidance. That's really bad. 𝗐𝗬's going to be down a lot, I think. Obviously, that Q4 guidance is really disgusting. All right, 𝐷𝗑𝐻. What are they saying? Oh, Essence didn't meet primary. Okay, affected by the COVID pandemic. 70. 𝐷𝗑𝐻 was 131.5. That's really good. You got a V-shaped recovery for 𝐷𝗑𝐻. Then 238.5 for PMO, which was also good. Essence was 0.309. That's from Sarepta. They're protesting quite a bit about the Essence trial. Positive cash flow in the quarter. Yeah, the question is, will they pull the PMOs for that? I don't think so. I don't know. I'd buy. Let me think here. Yeah, maybe I'll buy some. I don't know why 𝐷𝗐𝐬's is moving in the right direction. Wow, Sarepta's getting shellacked. I don't think they're going to take the PMOs away. But here, let me buy some. Extended hours. This is kind of a known binary risk for Sarepta, but I don't think there was a conditional. There's accelerated approval. Is that the same as conditional? I think it is, right? Okay. Bought some here. 1944. It's not. It's also not for the other PMO, right? They want to get accelerated approval. That's a bit of a bluff. They want full approval, which is a bit of a bluff there. I don't know why they would put that there. They're obviously not going to get full approval. All right, let me see if I can buy some more. They bought some more at 1844. Wow. Good old Sarepta. 1779. Raise the bid to 1835. 𝐷𝗐𝐬's guidance was bad. I don't see. 𝐷𝗐𝐬's is literally below consensus, right? Consensus 632. 𝗐𝗐𝐬's coming in at 605 to 625. Maybe the expectations were for worse. Oh, active discussions with Novo. That must be it. Okay, that must be it. Because the numbers weren't good, but the active discussions with Novo is pretty good. That's bullish. Better than Novo suing out of them, right? Yeah, I don't think they're going to remove the PMOs from the market. So never know with this FDA. 𝗍𝗍 is not the biggest fan. I think I got filled. Oh yeah, I got filled. Let's see here. Got filled at 19 for another lot. All right. I'm a baggy. Yes, I am. Okay, how much did I buy? All right, I got a decent amount now. P-value 0.3. Come on. Expect the PMO to work? And the whole point that we know it doesn't work? We've known this drug doesn't work for years. None of these drugs work. They talk about 𝐷𝐵𝑑𝑖s. I mean, it's still really cheap. I mean, if they did a bigger study, they probably would have met. Yeah, I don't think they're yanking it. Oh, I didn't have too much Sarepta. I still like it. I'm mostly just short quantum. Should I cover 𝗍𝗍 or something and buy some Sarepta? I'll show some solidarity with you, baggies. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe it'll come back because there just wasn't a lot of high expectations that the PMOs worked in the first place. And companies kind of BSing, I guess, but it, like, is the company, you know, basically, can the company, the FDA one more time? They still have other, they have 3 PMOs. The 2 of them have had confirmatory. What about the other one? Is 𝐷𝗓𝗏 ever going to have one? Oh yeah, I'm definitely not selling. I bought some. Yeah, it's way too cheap. Just on 𝐷𝗓𝗏 alone, you can justify the market cap.
To Tam Thornton, Director of Investor Relations. Please go ahead.
And thank you all for joining today's call.
Why me? Well, the good news is I didn't have too much going in. The bad news is I basically put my whole portfolio in it. About a 40% position. Actually, more like 50. My average is 1650. You know it's going to keep going down, right? Wifey's never going to forgive me. 15 already? 1645 average. Denny's take private? Wow. Oh, they delayed the earnings. Wow. No way. Freed up some capital. Let's go ham. We already have been ham for what it's worth. I mean, QURE had a big bounce back, right? QURE was $20 this morning, right? We turned that frown upside down. QURE bounced 50% from that low. Was QURE really $15? You could have doubled your money in QURE today. I'll buy $1 million. Thank you. Keep panicking. Keep panicking, you panicans. Bag holders anonymous. The problem is I have Capper coming up. I have quantum breaking down. Hey, I'm almost break even. My average is now 1639. Palantir's not red yet. Oh, wait. Maybe it is from the close. I think the PMOs stay, man. Obviously. Nothing changed. Why is it down? Nothing's changed. I'm coping. I get British when I cope. The Koreans can help. We're your enemies. Now we will befriend. Oh, we see you, baggy. We want to help. We will buy. Really? No, you're gay. No, I don't think they would. 𝐔𝗍𝗏 or 𝗍𝗏 seems like it's kind of permanently approved. With 𝗍𝗏 in there, you never know, especially with 𝗕𝗓𝗏 now gone. 𝗍𝗏 playing politics killed off 𝗕𝗓𝗏. House of cards in FDA. For real. It'll take more than a few weeks, I think. But maybe you're right, Goodman. I see what you're saying. It would take a few weeks for the market to get it. Yeah, that's probably true. The market to understand the situation. Laundromat works. Sarepta drug no work. It's stupid baggy. How many times I have to tell you? Buy real company. Biotech not real. It's like quantum. You make fun of quantum, this is worse. We need a real Miss Kim. I need to find a Korean woman who I can interview. Well, I'm not, really hurting too much on Sarepta. It's just annoying. I think a lot of you guys are hurting more than I am. Capper has a new paper. Yeah, I'm out of QURE. I got out of QURE a while back after it went crazy. Kind of felt like it went up too much. I didn't even know they had, I guess it's not surprising they had an FDA meeting. Yeah, I I think maybe they'll change their mind. I mean, it's a very weird situation. But you know, when a stock goes up so much so fast, I kind of, unless it's really special, I tend to get out. And I wanted to stick to my quantum shorts, so I basically sold that immediately. I'm really just short only. Where's my P&L? We're all talking about QURE, QURE, which is the topic du jour. FDA's decided that the QURE data is not good enough to get approval on. All right, let's see some quantum bleeding here. I like this. Yeah, Huntington's has a pretty big community. I don't know. It kind of feels like maybe it's a buy down here, but I also feel like FDA is going to not chicken out at some point. The Elon post didn't really make any sense and obviously isn't helping these stocks. So, I mean, if Elon got into quantum computing for some reason, that would be very odd. And yeah, I'm not sure what he'd want. The FDA has been wild. You know, I kind of like Biohaven. Biohaven is kind of a... Oh man, I didn't get a chance to buy it. That sucks. It was down like 20, 30%. You know, Biohaven is cedar, not 𝐤𝐵R. 𝐤𝐵R's that seems to be the only place going crazy. I didn't study the ectropic thing too closely, but I'm very happy that Beth is getting some time in the sun. Elon said something about quantum on the moon. Didn't really make too much sense. Got Vinay sitting there like, I make the rules around here. Me! Oh, 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗘𝗢. There's a lot of crazy posts on Twitter, man. It's hard to say, you know, how much of a bubble we're in. I think we're obviously in a bubble in some stocks. Like Joby and 𝐒𝐜𝐤 and quantum and stuff like that. But, you know, will they throw out the baby with the bathwater? Yeah, it feels like the FDA is very much capricious right now. A little shambolic, to use one executive's favorite word. But what are we going to do? You know, this is part of biotech investing. This is why you always gonna kind of have to keep it on you, as they say, where I'm from. When that stock doubled, data looked good enough for approval. I bought it, I sold it. Next question. I feel like Floyd Mayweather after Victor Ortiz, accusing him of hitting him with a dirty shot. That's all she wrote. Touch gloves, just protect yourself at all times. Boom, boom. No, in all seriousness, Biohaven's the really exciting one. I've been talking to a lot of people about Biohaven. We'll have to see, you know, how exactly, you know, but you know, that's you got it exactly right, Josh. Josh knows. You know, we're basically going back to a time in FDA where it's double-blind, placebo-controlled trial, or nothing else. And I'm not sure that's a bad thing. You know, it's certainly possible that we go back to that time, and that's, you know, not awful. You know, I do think we're in a different place from that FDA. So if you look back to 20 years ago, was that what, did he beat Goresh and then threw the queen into the crowd? That was like a rock star move right there. That's Bon Jovi. No, so the 90s, you know, basically were dominated by statins, ARBs, atypicals, which are D2s. These are the biggest classes of medicine. In the 2000s, you had TNF alpha. And then let me sort of show what the rare disease world was. You had Gaucher and the other, well, you had mostly Gaucher there, and then the other ERTs. And then you started to get into gene therapy, especially for DMD and other areas. And so, like, if you think about, like, this continuum, let's see, what else was big? Some of these medicines needed flexibility, some of them didn't. So the FDA provided flexibility for some of these things, like Gaucher. Let's say, I don't know, MS drugs were big in this era. I guess what I'm saying is that to go back to a time where you need only RCTs, it feels off because RCTs make sense for populations that require them. So I mean, you could still do RCTs for PD-1 and GLP, but we're starting to get to a point where, I've said this many times over the last 5 years, we're in a period where there's sort of vanishing numbers of diseases. You know, the amount of diseases left to treat has become, you know, fewer and fewer, as like these will never need new treatments in practice, right? statins and ARBs are generic now, as are D2s. And so as time goes on, a lot of these drugs go generic. Cystic fibrosis here. And like cystic fibrosis, there was a double-blind RCT that worked really well. For DMD, there wasn't. And then for SMA, it depends. There were yeses and nos there, but back in like PNH era, for eculizumab, you had double-blind placebo-controlled studies. I'm trying to remember what happened with Gaucher. I want to say there was not a double-blind placebo-controlled trial. So it's hard to discern a trend, I guess, but it seems to me that going back to an era of prove it, trials need to work, period, no flexibility, no interpretation. The purist in me says that's not such a bad thing. We're running out of diseases, so we're going after these little diseases, and we need to kind of be flexible about them. I guess like you look at AD here, didn't do much revenue, but kind of a murky approval there. And each division of FDA has its own opinions. Like Biohaven is at neuro, which has like traditionally been very forgiving. And then you have 𝐷𝗫 on top of this. Tidmarsh resigned? When did Tidmarsh resign? Placed on leave? What? Personal conduct probe. Wow. Long-standing vendetta against Kevin Tang. I thought he worked for Kevin Tang. Yeah, I was busy repairing a database and with my family yesterday. That's wild. So what happened? He was the CEO of La Jolla for Kevin. Data falling out. When did he resign as CEO of La Jolla? I think I remember this. Didn't do great at La Jolla. Did La Jolla get acquired, by the way? I think it did. Is it Aurinia now? Oh, Kevin's very successful. Yeah, Philip, I don't know. The RWE study did work technically. My portfolio has been looking svelte lately, so I need to get back up to, need Quantum to hang in there. He made some LinkedIn post. I saw the LinkedIn post. Risk is tightening up. Keep some powder dry. What happened to Capper? Somebody said there was a paper, right? Oh God. Biotech had some news today that looked interesting. Quarterly earnings with Sarepta. Okay, is this another quantum head fake? It goes down 5%. You start to pile in, feel comfortable in a short again, and then just gets smacked. It's pretty much my whole portfolio, short quantum. It's been an interesting ride. Not a huge fan of Biontech, but I don't know. I'm keep an open mind.
Drug pharmacy.
Yeah, I'm still long Spruce. I did add a little bit to it.
Shkreli.
I don't really trade government bonds. That's not my thing. Yeah, I haven't looked at the new paper from Capper, but I don't expect it's a lot. I'm not sure if Tidmarsh leaving affects Sarepta or not. I mean, look, everything's obviously in a bit of disarray. The chickens are clucking. FDA is running amok. What's going on? The chickens are quite upset. This is why I wouldn't say I don't miss drug development, but I would say that, like, man, it's a tough space, especially rare diseases. But like, you either have the goods. The thing about drug development, I mean, you either have, in my opinion, if you don't have the nuts, poker talk, I guess, for a second, you got to be really careful about drug development, because it's like just the craziest risk you're taking, putting everything in, is regulated in FDA, right? There's everything you do is FDA has to bless it. And the FDA at any moment can decide, no, we're going to do it this way, or no, we're going to do it that way. And, there's not much you can do. You can't sue the FDA. I mean, it's really hard to beat them. Their scientific opinion tops yours. So you basically have to go in there with my view, the way I do things is you try to go in there with the most kind of like conservative viewpoint you can. Because if they, have this perspective that's conservative, you have to deal with it. Now, if you can get, a little bit of leeway, that's great, but it's really hard to, you can see how my old company, 𝗕𝗓𝗓, is sort of handling this. I'm not really close to the story anymore, but it seems like they've navigated it okay. But it's one of these things where every medicine has this question mark, where it's not exactly simple to resolve every dispute and every question about it. And I really am kind of like that old school believer of like, either you have Like, I would never want to be uniQure or Sarepta as a company owner or company manager, because it's like you're going to FDA with the hat in hand, right? You're saying, please let me get approval. And that's just, you don't want to ever be in that position in life where you're sort of begging and pleading. Now, somehow Sarepta got away with it, partially because the, really, really tough disease. It's that sort of makes sense. These kids have this terrible illness, but that's not what you want to base your whole existence and company on. Like, just praying that the FDA sees it your way. You want to deliver results that are like, okay, we hit statistical significance. You want the FDA to like roll out the red carpet for you, be like, we're so proud of you guys. Way to go. Way to make America look great. That's the kind of thing you want. And obviously medicine is messy and it doesn't always work that way, but the perspective has to be, we didn't hit the primary endpoint. It failed. It doesn't work. And unfortunately, the problem with that is that we've had this slippery slope where it's like, well, you have to have compassion for patients. And if patients are saying, we want this, but it doesn't work, what do you do? It's a really tough place to be, where it's like, I hear you. And this is kind of a political partisan thing. Like, if you're, think about it from the political perspective, if you're dying and you say, I want a chance to live, I need this drug, who are you to tell me what I can and can't do to save my own life? Even if this drug doesn't work, I want to take it. Now, the FDA, the Democrats, to some extent, I hate to make this partisan, but it is a bit of a partisan thing. It's a liberty thing. The Democrats say, no, we know what's better for you. And we know that this drug is dangerous. We know better than you and your doctor. And, sorry, not sorry, but you're not getting this thing. And if you want to get it, you can get it in a clinical trial. We're not going to let you, take the risk of having it FDA approved when you can take it, just take it in a clinical trial. Now the company says, oh, we can't afford to give you this drug in a clinical trial because there's a lot of costs that come with this. We need the reward of an approval. And the FDA says, sorry, you're not getting that from us. Well, you can do all the clinical trials you want. That type of dynamic is kind of the problem that's at the situation here. Because ultimately, if you were trying to do that for an Alzheimer's drug or a diabetes drug, maybe diabetes is a better point than Alzheimer's. It's simple to say, go do another trial. There's no problem with waiting. But if you have a disease for DMD or Huntington's, look, my life is on the line right now. I can't wait. And the fact that these trials can cost hundreds of millions of dollars doesn't help, right? It's a really tough place to be